JK doesn't have a power system. It has an art form. Every cursed technique is its own universe of broken rules and broken bodies. Today we're ranking the 12 absolute best, and my number 1 is going to start arguments. Let's go. Real quick before we start, drop in the comments which technique you think is the most broken. I'm checking every single one. Alright, let's get into it. Number 12, Boogie Woogie, Aoi Todo. Okay, so Boogie Woogie is genuinely one of the most disrespected techniques in the whole show. On paper, it sounds like nothing. Clap your hands, swap positions of anything with cursed energy. That's it. But in practice, it completely breaks how fights work. It doesn't matter how untouchable your technique is if your opponent controls where everyone stands. Todo used this to completely dismantle Mahito mid-fight, and Mahito is not someone you just outmaneuver. It's not the most powerful thing on this list, but it might be the highest IQ technique in the entire series. Number 11. Cursed Speech, Inumaki Clan. Language as a kill command. That's genuinely what this is. Explode. Don't move. Die. And reality just listens. The cost is brutal though. Every word eats away at the user's own body, which is why Toge always talks in food. But the moment that sticks with everyone is Utah in JIJK0 copied cursed speech through Rika and ordered an entire swarm of cursed spirits to die. That scene alone cements this technique as one of the scariest in the franchise. It removes your opponent's ability to have agency. That's terrifying. Number 10. Deadly Sentencing, Hiromi Higuruma. Higuruma's technique is one of the most uniquely broken things in Season 3. Once his domain opens, a Shikigami called Judgment appears and starts prosecuting the opponent for literally any crime they've ever committed in their life. And the verdict is that either your cursed technique gets completely stripped away, or Higuruma gets the Executioner's Sword, a weapon that kills in one hit, no durability check, nothing. Inside that domain, he is judge, jury, and God. The debates online go crazy over this one because people argue it should be top 5, and honestly, they're not wrong. In the right hands, it's an instant win condition. Number 9. Technique Extinguishment / Jacob's Ladder, Angel. This one is simple and completely insane at the same time. It nullifies everything: cursed techniques, barriers, cursed objects, incarnations, sealed prison realm boxes, all of it, erased. It doesn't care how powerful you are. Your technique just stops existing. The biggest moment for this ability was unsealing Gojo, which literally no other technique in the entire verse could do. And that's why it's here. Every single technique above it on this list becomes irrelevant the moment Angel walks into the room. Number 8. Shrine, Ryomen Sukuna. The versatility here is genuinely insane. Most people focus on cleave and dismantle, the invisible slashes that scale to whatever the opponent can handle. So the stronger you are, the more devastating the cut. But people sleep on the fire arrow, a concentrated heat blast that Sukuna can detonate into a massive pressure explosion. Long range, covered. Short range, covered. Heat and impact, also covered. And then Malevolent Shrine as a domain doesn't even need walls. It just blankets everything in range with guaranteed hits. That's what demolished entire sections of Shibuya. This technique has almost no gaps. Okay, we're halfway through and we haven't even gotten to the actually unhinged ones yet. If your top 6 looks different from mine, drop it in the comments right now. I want to see it. Number 7. Cursed Spirit Manipulation, Suguru Gato. This is just an absurd technique. Every cursed spirit Gato defeats gets absorbed into him, and then he can deploy them whenever he wants. And those spirits can each come with their own unique abilities, their own potential domain expansions, assuming Geto's strong enough to control them. So the army keeps growing. He fought Yuta in JJK0 while simultaneously launching a full-scale assault on civilians across the city. Maximum Uzumaki compresses all those spirits into one devastating blast. The scariest part about this technique is the ceiling. The more fights he wins, the stronger he gets. It never stops scaling. Number 6. 10 Shadows Technique, Megumi / Sukuna. This one kind of speaks for itself, honestly. 10 Divine Shikigami, summoned from Shadow, each one a weapon. But everything centers on Mahoraga, the one Megumi couldn't tame, because Mahoraga adapts to every single attack it survives. Not just the attack, the concept behind it. That's how Sukuna used it to eventually counter Infinity, which is supposed to be uncrossable. And that right there is why this technique is dangerous at a level Megumi never even touched. Sukuna showed us the true ceiling of 10 Shadows, and it's genuinely frightening. Number 5. Copy plus Rika, Yuta Okatsu. You have to look at the full package here. Rika is essentially unlimited cursed energy storage, an infinite well that Yuta draws from. Copy lets him replicate any technique he's come across: cursed speech, sky manipulation, shrine, Jacob's ladder, and inside his domain he has access to all of them simultaneously. But here's the angle that nobody really wants to say out loud. Yuta doesn't copy more techniques because he's a good person. That's literally the only limiter. Imagine an evil Yuta, willing to kill his friends just to absorb their abilities. Limitless, Idle Death Gamble, 10 Shadows, all in one person. The potential is completely absurd. His morality is doing more work than any drawback. Number 4. Star Rage, Yuki Tsukumo. Let's just be honest about this one. Yuki was nerfed by the plot. We all know it. Star Rage adds imaginary mass to herself and her Shikigami Garuda, meaning she moves at full speed, but hits with the force of a celestial body. In pure striking power, she physically surpasses both Gojo and Sukuna. And that's before you get to the trump card. Remove all limits on the virtual mass, and she becomes a black hole. A suicide move, yeah, but one with enough destructive potential to take out everything around her. The only real weakness is that the added mass doesn't increase her structural durability, so she degrades as she scales up. But if she'd had more time and a fair fight, this entry is top 2, easy. Alright, top 3. This is where every JJK debate actually lives. And I'm telling you now, my number 1 is going to make some of you close this video angry. Stay with me. Number 3, Limitless plus 6 Eyes, Satoru Gojo. This one barely needs an explanation, and the fact that it barely needs one tells you everything. Infinity sits between Gojo and everything else in existence. Blue pulls, red repels, hollow purple erases. His 6 eyes let him run all of it at near zero energy cost, so he never runs dry. Infinite Void traps opponents in total sensory overload. They experience everything simultaneously and just shut down. It is the most complete technique in the series. Perfect defense, perfect defense, crowd control, and a domain that blankets everything in range. For most of JJK's run, this was the ceiling of what a cursed technique could even be. Number 2, Idle Transfiguration, Mahito. I've said this 100 times. This is one of the most ridiculous techniques in the entire series. Reshape souls, reshape bodies. One touch and Mahito can twist, reconstruct, or completely rewrite a person's form. He uses it to heal himself, weaponize his limbs, clone himself mid-fight. But the debate always lands on the same point. If Mahito had fully understood his own technique, he might have been able to give himself literally whatever abilities he wanted. Heal anything, modify his own soul to resist techniques, reshape others however he liked. At that point, it stops being a combat ability and starts being something closer to a god power. The tragedy is, he got taken out before he ever figured out what he actually had. The ceiling was almost limitless, and he barely scratched it. Number 1. The Comedian, Fumihiko Takaba. Okay, I know. At first glance, this sounds like a joke. It's literally called the Comedian. But hear me out, because in reality, this is just straight-up reality manipulation. If Takaba finds something funny, it becomes real. No conditions, no energy cost, no counter. He healed wounds that should have killed him without using reverse curse technique. He negated damage entirely. He conjured objects from nothing. He forced Kenjaku, one of the oldest and most cunning sorcerers alive, into a literal comedy duo performance where none of his techniques worked. Gege Akutami himself confirmed in a Q&A that Comedian is powerful enough to beat Satoru Gojo. The only reason it doesn't is because Takaba has no idea what he has. An angel warned that if he ever did understand it, the technique would collapse in on itself. His ignorance is the feature, not the bug. But in the hands of someone who truly understood it and could still control it, you could theoretically do anything. Erase Limitless, rewrite the fight, reverse death. There is no ceiling. That's why it's number 1. That's the 12 best. But honestly, every single entry on this list is an argument waiting to happen. Tell me what I got wrong, where you'd flip Mahito and Gojo, and whether Takaba at number 1 is genius or insane. I'm reading every comment. See you in the next one.